In countries all around the world, people's lives are threatened because of who they are or what they believe. These people are being detained and imprisoned, often without a fair trial. In these circumstances, many face torture or other forms of ill treatment. They may sometimes be held captive in extremely poor conditions and subject to inhuman or degrading treatment. Within the United States, the government has broken its tradition of protecting human rights by allowing the mistreatment of prisoners at several different prisons. Specifically, this treatment has been seen prominently at the Guantanamo Bay prison. Here, basic human rights have not been provided for the prisoners. Although society is not familiar with the identity of these prisoners or of their wrongdoings, shouldn't every single person on Earth be subject to the same human rights? The lack of media coverage on the topics of prisoner rights has left society blind to what really goes on within these prisons all over the world.
Torture is the act of deliberately inflicting severe physical pain and possibly injury to a person who is physically restrained or otherwise unable to defend against what is being done to them. This human right is broken through the physical torture of many prisoners around the world. They undergo many different methods of torture, such as exposure to severe cold and heat, drowning attempts such as washboarding and cutting off limbs.
We tried out many of our new interrogation techniques on Juma al-Dosari. Colangelo O'Brien met with him many times and cataloged what was done with him. Al-Dosari said that Americans forced him to the ground and urinated on him. We put out our cigarettes on him. We shocked him with an electric device. We spat on him. We poured a hot cup of tea on his head. We told him that, quote, "We brought you here to kill you." We beat him until he vomited blood. We threatened to have him raped. We dressed him in shorts and left him in a frigid, air-conditioned room. We abandoned him in another room with no water. We invited him to drink from his toilet bowl, which he did. We wrapped him in an Israeli flag. We told him that we would hold him forever, and we told him that we would send him to Egypt to be tortured. On a different day, we chained him to the floor and cut off his clothes while a female MP entered the room. We dripped what we said was menstrual blood on his body. When he spat at us, we smeared this blood on his face. We kissed the cross around our neck and said, "This is a gift from Christ for you Muslims." We videotaped the entire episode.
The right to adequate living standard is a minimum entitlement to food, clothing, and housing at a subsistence level. This human right is broken because prisoners don't always get clean clothes and aren't fed that well. The right to life is a phrase that describes the belief that a human being has the right to live, particularly that a human being has the right not to be unjustly killed by another human being. This human right is broken as there are several people killed every day in the United States prisons.
In Dublin, Ireland, the rights of some children and young adults are being either violated or ignored. Minister of Justice Alan Shatter described the findings as shocking and said the government would not tolerate this type of abuse outlined in this report. It says many children and young adults who are on protection are locked up for 23 hours a day. This offends against all that should be expected of a civilized society in the 21st century. Some children and young adults were dealt with under the disciplinary procedure, which resulted in the prohibition of contact with family by way of visit. The report found prisoners are stripped of their clothing and required to wear an undergarment and a poncho-style overgarment when placed in safety observation cells for management purposes. Prisoners should only be placed in these cells for medical purposes. To force prisoners to undress in this manner was degrading and a form of punishment, intimidation, and abuse. Bed sheets had not been changed after the previous occupant after a child was placed in a cell of the children's wing. The sheets were dirty, the toilet was blocked, and he had no running water. This was brought to the attention of management, but the bed sheets were not changed for 4 further days.
Recently, prisoners in jail having their rights taken away from them have become an issue globally. In order to overcome this issue, many non-governmental organizations have been created. Also, more regions are beginning to monitor their prisons more closely, which has been said to be the most effective way to sustain prisoners' rights. A story that has been recently published is on Nadezhda Tolokonikova, a member of a feminist punk band from Mordovia who has been in jail since March 2012, is creating an organization to fight for prison reform. The organization will hire experienced lawyers who inspect the region's prisons, visit prisoners, and to assist in legal appeals and other issues. The non-governmental organizations are formed to preserve, protect, and to extend the rights of prisoners. And every year, more of these organizations are being created and more people are getting involved in spreading awareness on this issue.